What's going on, culés? Welcome back to Blaugrana Zone, your destination for all things Football Club Barcelona. Let's get into today's game, Barcelona versus Daegu FC. Let's go. So let's start with today's lineup. We had Lewandowski starting at the striker. We had Rafinha on the left, Lamine Yamal on the right, and Dro Fernandez at the cam, which I thought was a very interesting choice. But we saw during the game, he was showing some brilliance, guys. His passes were tight. He was good in tight spaces. There were a few plays where he was getting lost on the ball, but I don't think that's his fault, really. He's a 6-year-old out there. So, not super high expectations, but he held his own today against a team that isn't at our level. Obviously, they're the last tier, they're the last place team in Korea. But nonetheless, he held his own against grown men playing this game. Then we had Gavi and Frankie de Jong as our two CDMs. And then from the left to right, we had Alejandro Balde, Gerard Martin, Ronald Araujo, and Jules Koundé. Obviously, in the goal, we started out with Joan Garcia. Martin and Araujo as center back pairings was like seeing just two goofy guys as center backs because they would make the occasional mistake, but it was nothing detrimental. Thank God. There was a point where I noticed that the defense was pivoting to the left, and Balde would kind of go up, playing as like a ghost left wing, and Rafinha would trail towards the center, allowing us to play with three center backs sometimes. And Gavi would also come a little deeper onto the defense to give us an extra man back there while Balde goes up. And the same thing with Koundé on the right side. We had Koundé kind of go up, Araujo slide a little to the right, everybody sliding over, and Gavi once again trailing back a bit to join our defense. The first half, I'm not going to lie, it was much more entertaining because Lamine Yamal was playing. He had defenders on skates. He was making grown men look like children in the schoolyard. It's very clear why he's our number 10. It's very clear that he's box office. He's a superstar. All right, the kid is 18 years old and he's a superstar. What were you doing at 18? What was I doing at 18? Not being a superstar, that's for sure. The goals from Gavi were world class. He had two goals in the first half. So did Robert Lewandowski. The Lewandowski goal came from a Gerard Martin assist. And I was on TikTok live, literally as right before it happened. I was like, I need to see some Gerard Martin crosses, some passes, like we did in the Inter game. Even though that game gives me PTSD, his passes were class. So as soon as I said that, he delivers a curler around the defense right to Lewandowski. Lewandowski could not have missed that shot. Any touch he took on that shot was going into the goal. That's how crystal cut and clear the pass was. Gavi's second goal was a nice outlet pass from Koundé to him, and then he chips the goalie. Araujo kind of tried to crash his party and take the goal for himself. I wouldn't expect anything less from him. I'm not a fan of Araujo. I'm a fan of Araujo out, actually. But Gavi just showed class. As soon as this game started, I was on live saying that Gavi needs to have a breakthrough season. He needs to have a great game if he even wants to be considered in the lineup this season. Because we have a plethora of CMs, of attacking center mids and defensive center mids. So it's going to be hard to even break the starting 11 or be on the bench. And he stepped up to the plate today with two fantastic goals that just showed off his class and his skill. I also would be remiss if I didn't mention Marcus Rashford. So the second half, we had an entirely different lineup. We had Eric Garcia come in at the right back. We had Kubarsi come back in. We had a whole different lineup for the second half. Joffrey Torrens at the left back. We had Tony Fernandez come in. We had Marc Casado come in. Rooney Bargi came in. Like I said, Marcus Rashford as well. He came in and played striker minutes, which was the most surprising for me, even though it's exactly what I wanted. And I think that's exactly where he needs to be because he was at the right place at the right time for Eric Garcia, playing the same role that Koundé did in the first half, where he kind of starts to trail upward and get involved in our attack. It was a pass between Eric Garcia, Rooney, back to Eric Garcia to kind of like shake the defenders off. And then the pass from Garcia to Rashford inside the box. he wasn't completely alone because like his man came to slide tackle him right as soon as he shot, but that shot was timed perfectly. Great first goal for Rashford to have. I think that's gonna boost his confidence. It's gonna do a lot for us going into La Liga in just under 2 weeks, really. The other goal that was scored was by Tony Fernandez, who had an absolutely world-class goal. Tony Fernandez just showed up and announced himself. And he did this in, I believe it was the first game or the second game. He scored already before. I know that for sure. But the Tony Fernandez link up with Dani Olmo was looking very, very clean today. The link up between Koundé and Lamine Yamal was also looking very clean today. You could tell that the passes from last season are only going to get better this season. Lamine has been making extraordinary passes. Something I did mention on my live was that as much as the Travella assist and the Travella passes look clean, I don't like that he's not using his right foot that much because it's making it look like a real weakness, and I think defenders can exploit that, right? There was a point or two that Daegu kind of exposed our high line. They got through the high line. But I think the one time that they did, they completely sold the play. And then like the other two times, they were offside. So they fell right into our trap. But I didn't like that they showed other teams that it's possible, you know? They're giving Mallorca some hope going into La Liga. But overall, what a fantastic game. Dominance from Barcelona, as I expected. I did want us to win by a larger margin than last game, and I guess that was accomplished. We won last game by 3 goals. This time we completely shut out our opponents and won 5-0. The Daegu goalie was actually playing really, really well in the second half. He stopped Dani Olmo's goal, which I wasn't even expecting him to shoot. So the fact that the goalie was able to see around his defender and stop that Dani Olmo goal showed some class, I'm not going to lie. And he also stopped Tony Fernandez from having a brace, which I know he was pissed because he was making some good runs and finding himself on the other side of the ball. There was a play where Pedri, I don't know how Pedri does it, man. He just sees the players making a run and he could time his passes so perfectly that it ends up right in front of them. But Tony Fernandez sold that as well. My player of the game, honestly, it's got to be either Dro Fernandez or Lamine Yamal because Dro was doing great at the cam position. He was getting these outlet passes. He was making good crosses. Everything that I saw today showed me that he's capable of holding his own on the first team. I also want to talk about Diego Cochin, the third-string goalie who had some minutes today as well after Tech came on in the second half. Diego Cochin he recently got called up to play for the U.S. national team. I'm not sure if he's gotten minutes, but he's still eligible to represent Peru or Venezuela. Y'all see the Peru flag, so I'm hoping my boy chooses to represent Peru. We could afford to get rid of Pedro Gallese finally, and who knows, maybe we could have some Diego Cochin minutes on Peru, and then we'll have a Peruvian back in Barcelona, bro. It's gonna look like the 70s again. A Peruvian in Barca as a goalie too. Peruvians are never really that tall, so to have a Peruvian in Barca would be crazy. I mean, an American in Barca is also crazy, but we've seen Serginho Dest. Like it's fine, even though he was flip flopping between nations. But Diego Cochin showed some very good minutes between the polls. It was very promising. I liked what I saw for sure, but I think that Joan Garcia is our starter and Tech is our second-string goalie. Feel bad for Iñaki Peña, but Diego Cochin is clearly getting the nod ahead of him, so it might be time for Iñaki Peña to start looking for another club. Overall, this win was fantastic. 5-0 win, total dominance. Marcus Rashford's first goal, no more 007 memes, even though I'm already seeing people clown him, talking about it's an easy goal. Do you want him to score or not? Like, because if he missed that chance, what? You'd be clowning him because he didn't score? It's ridiculous. He had some very good passes. I think he could have had an assist, actually. Could have had an assist a couple of times. The last thing I want to mention is Pau Cubarsí being substituted at the last 10 minutes with a muscle injury. I was a little nervous looking at him because he was just sitting down on the floor and he wasn't getting up. And I was like, no fucking way this happens in our last preseason game. But then Hector Fort came in, Pau Cubarsí got up and he walked off the field. So I was like, okay, it's no major injury, maybe just some muscle discomfort. And he doesn't want to strain anything, which is smart ultimately. But the back pairing of Gerard Martin and Ronald Araujo really showed me what a back pairing between Christensen and Kubarsi can look like, because they're almost kind of similar players, you know, like those two pairings. So that's going to be very exciting to see. I really liked how our fullbacks got involved in our attacking. We saw that a lot in the Inter game, the last UCL game, and we're seeing it more now. I think our both of our fullbacks are getting more comfortable in the attack, and it's showing a lot of promise to what we can do in La Liga. I'm expecting us to go back to back in La Liga. I think this is a very strong team. We have so much squad depth. We have like I said, we have a plethora of CMs. We've got some good second string center backs. And I think every attacking position has a second player who can fight just as hard. I really liked it that our team today pressed every single time we lost the ball. I even saw Lamine Yamal checking back to where the center backs were. So I loved the defensive effort. It showed that we wanted to win. I'm very excited for this season. I think we can do great things. I know you guys think that too. Let me know in the comments what you thought of today's game. Let me know what you guys think are the expectations for La Liga coming up and for this season overall. What do you guys think? Should we do a clean sweep like we did last season with these trophies? I can't wait to hear what you guys think. Let me know in those comments. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to Blaugrana Zone, your destination for all things Football Club Barcelona. I'll see you next time.